our daughter has excelled here in a way that she would never have excelled in a public school. They needed to bring her out of her shell, and they did.
I'm Agnes Stowicki, Managing Editor with Our Kids. We're speaking with insiders from Canada's leading private and independent schools to bring you insights into school programs, culture, traditions, and leadership. This includes insights from parents, alumni, and administration. This is the Our Kids Insider Perspective.
I learned about the Citadelle from one of my colleagues. His daughter went to the school, and the school had done wonders for her. So automatically I was intrigued. My wife and I came for a tour. We learned about the school from the headmaster, Alfred, and the thing that really amazed us was when we walked in, it was actually during a school day, the kids were calm and respectful. The kids walked by us and said, "Hello." And there was just sort of a difference between them and what we were used to, say, in the public system. And it was really hard to ignore that. So we made the decision to come here in pre-K and haven't looked back since. Sophie has been at La Citadelle since pre-K, so what is that, 5, 6, 7, 8 years here now. And it's amazing how well she has done and the young woman she's grown into. She responds well to class. She loves her teachers. She's not afraid of doing homework. She's been doing exams since grade 1. That scares a lot of people when they hear that, doing exams since grade 1. It doesn't faze her. It doesn't faze the other kids here because they're used to it. And that's part of the education experience here. I think what Sophie appreciates most about the school is how close she gets with her teachers. The classes are small, which you probably already know. It's much different than the public system where you'll get 30, 35 kids in the class. And so she gets a lot more one-on-one time with the teacher. She has a problem with something, they work with her on it. During class, sometimes she's had to stay, after school for extra tutoring. It's sort of all part of the process. She just really seems to enjoy the fact that she likes her teachers, she likes the school, she likes her friends, and everything's going well. As a parent, what I probably appreciate most about the school is that I don't have to worry about my daughter. She comes to school, she doesn't have to worry about getting bullied. Kids will be kids. They will be kids anywhere. However, they're very strict here with that. And you don't get older kids bullying younger kids. In fact, it's the opposite. The funniest thing is that you will get the older kids who know all the younger kids' names and vice versa. There's very much an older sister, older brother sort of thing going on with a lot of them. And that's, for a parent, that means a lot. I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that they've developed her into the young woman that she is. Oftentimes we say that there's a lot of influences outside of school that, the school has no control over. Well, with our family, we look at it as all the influences are here in school. And they're positive influences, and that matters. It really does. So she's got role models here. She's dedicated to the school, dedicated to her work, and the best thing is she doesn't think of it as work. And if she's not afraid of school, she's going to excel at it. I would say, it's hard to say what would surprise me about the school. I probably expected more sports attached to the school. But this isn't the school to go to if that's what you're going to school for. And I'm not disappointed that there isn't soccer after school, and there isn't like a football team. There isn't, because the school isn't large enough for that. So maybe that was a bit of a surprise. Perhaps some people might say that they would be surprised about how the school really works on the kid in a holistic way, meaning tries to raise them to be better people in the entirety of them. From a young age, when my daughter was in pre-K, SK, like JK, maybe we couldn't get her to eat vegetables. Her teacher, Madame Christine at the time, and we all call them, even though we're the same age as a lot of the teachers, we say Madame and Monsieur in the front before their name. But she convinced her to eat vegetables, and amazing. We thought she was coming here for just school, and she was coming here for so much more. It's true. It's absolutely true. She wouldn't eat vegetables, and she was terrified of Madame Christine. It was awesome. I probably have to look at a list to remember what the actual values are. But, if I would just sort of look at my daughter and sort of how she behaves, I would have to say respect is a huge thing. They really instill respect in the kids at a young age, teach them to respect their elders, teach them to respect each other, and teach them to respect themselves. Compassion, in that they care about the other students. They try to avoid and try to curb any sort of conflict, which is important. And conflict happens at any school. Dedication, responsibility. And responsibility is a huge one. The headmaster, Alfred, will tell us, and he'll tell every parent this when they come here, we don't want you doing your kids' homework. We don't want you working at night saying, hey, let's sit down and we're going to work through all this. They want your kid to do it. They say they are going to be teaching your child, and you raise them and let them be children at home. And that's the way they do it. They want to teach them to be able to do things on their own. So my daughter, who's in grade 5, is writing stories on her own at home on the computer. She's doing her own science fair experiments. And she's not yelling, daddy, 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 every 5 minutes to help her, because she's capable. And they've taught her to be able to respect herself enough that she can do it herself. And that's a really important thing. Teaching a kid independence is one of the foundations to making them into adults. I'd like to think that my wife and I are like any typical family. We both work, we're both ambitious, we care about our community, we care about education, we don't ignore our child. I think a lot of the families here are A-types, and they're go-getters. They believe in succeeding in life and getting a foundation for their education. You can't understand where you're at today without understanding where you came from. That's true with everything in life and everything you do. And they teach the foundation, they teach the bedrock of what your kid is going to know for the rest of their life right here. And that is such an important thing. And a lot of people just think, oh, well, let's just go work on that robotics project, right? Because it's, just telling you how to do this and this and this. But they don't understand what it means. They don't understand, the electrical components or anything like that. Well, they teach that in science here. And they teach the computer class. And they do that here. They teach the foundations here. And that is so important for your kid to be able to succeed in life. I would say it's less about what Sophie is proud of or what she's accomplished at the school, and more about what I'm proud of that she's done outside the school, but is a product of the school. When my mother died, her grandmother died right before the pandemic, Sophie decided on her own to write a eulogy. She wrote out the eulogy, and then she stood up in front of this is a week before the pandemic, she stood up in front of everyone, and she delivered that eulogy. She read from her page that she wrote herself, and she told just this most beautiful story. And everybody in the room was either in tears or blown away or both. And people walked up to us and said, I can't believe your daughter was able to do that. She was 6 years old. 6 years old. And she was able to do that. That's confidence. That's the ability to write at 6 years old. That's the ability to put together a story, and a sensible story, something that's impactful, something that matters to her. And I owe it entirely to the school, because it's her education that got her there. And our friends who were there, whose kids are the same age or even older, were like, my kid would never be able to do that, ever. And yeah, that's where the education of the Citadelle's gotten her, for sure, 100%. Our experience with the teachers and administration has been second to none. Any question we have gets answered. If we have constant meetings with the teachers, not because our daughters needs them, but because it's part of the process. We do parent-teacher conferences all the time, and they give us and they show us what she's doing, and they talk to us about sort of where she's going to go and what they're going to do with her to make her a better student. So we've never had a bad experience with one of the teachers here. I'm sure not every teacher is great, I'm sure, but we've been here for 8 years and we haven't found one yet. It's been a very, very positive experience. The administration is unbelievably supportive of the children. Alfred, the headmaster, loves the kids like with all of his heart. He really believes in education. He really believes in the kids. He really believes in treating them like adults. He treats them with respect. He doesn't, speak to them in a kid voice. And I love that. I love that. It's, you might think, just from what I'm saying, it's all business. It's not. They have fun. They enjoy education. But, our experience with the teachers and the administration, can't say enough about them. It's tough to list 3 reasons why I would recommend this school. I would never want to put down another school or put down other kids. But what I will say is our experience is that our daughter has excelled here in a way that she would never have excelled in a public school. They needed to bring her out of her shell, and they did. They work directly with the kids. That's the other thing. If the kids who come into this school, whatever grade, they take a test to be able to see where they're at, and they all fail, without question. They all fail. But they don't take the test to be able to put them down. They don't take the test to be able to show what they don't know. They take the test to say, this is where we're going to get you. And it might seem extreme. It might seem there's no way. You would probably look at a lot of those tests and go, there's no way this kid, whatever this kid wrote, is going to be able to do the same test at the end of the year and ace it. And yet they do. Because they work with the kids in the class setting, but individually as well. The teachers are specialists in their specific field, and they bring the kids along in such a holistic way. I would say that. I guess the third thing would be the way that they approach learning languages. I went to a French school growing up, and straight French, French for everything. But by the time I got to like late high school, and I was getting ready to go to university, there was sort of that awkward shift going from French to English, because not all the terms are all the same. Here, they sort of do it both, right? They know that the kids are likely going to go to English university, so they ease them into sort of English learning towards the high school without giving up on the French at all. And so when you're learning in English and French, sort of both things, you're using both sides of your brain. I mean, it's impressive. My daughter is, again, in grade 5. She does book reports in French. She does them in English. And she does them each equally well. And that's pretty cool. I would suggest any family looking for any private school, any school whatsoever, to go visit it. Not after school, during school, to be able to see what the kids are like, to be able to maybe poke your head into class to see what they're working on, to look at the curriculum. That's so important, absolutely. Everything else works out. You're going to look at the finances. You're going to look at the finances at every school, and those are very much, hopefully, up front. Think about what you need, what you're trying to get out of the school, and then make yourself a list and sort of narrow it down. You're not going to come to La Citadelle if you're looking for something like all the bells and whistles. You're not going to go to UCC. You're not going to go to one of these massive schools with $45,000, $50,000 tuition if you're not interested in after-school sports and stuff, because that's what they do. They do a lot of that stuff. And that's not to say those things are bad. I mean, they'll have a debate club. They'll have all these different clubs, and those things are exceptionally good. But when you're looking at the school, really consider what you want out of a school. Do you want the school to be able to teach a kid to play basketball? Or do you want them to teach them the foundations of the education for the rest of their lives? At La Citadelle, we don't really have a lot of the extracurricular sports. We don't. We do not have them. Although the kids go skiing in the winter and they do all these different things. They do leadership camp. Sure, those things are great. But my daughter goes and does ballet 3 hours a day, every day after school. She doesn't need to get extracurriculars here at school because she has them somewhere else, at a professional dance studio. And she's dedicated to that. She works hard. It's not something that I would have necessarily wanted for her, because it's a lot of hours, a lot of dedication, but she enjoys it, and it's something that she wants to do. If she was falling behind in school, she wouldn't do the dance, but how can you argue with a kid who's getting over 90% average? Every one of her teachers rave about her, and she's going on to international competitions for dance, and she's in grade 6. I think we made the right choice. And you can argue that, well, she would have been here regardless because her parents are motivated. Sure, absolutely. But I don't subscribe to that at all, because we're teaching her at home all these different things, but for most of the day, this is her home. This school is her home. And this is where she's being taught to become the young woman that she is. And again, I've said it before, we're very happy with our decision to come to La Citadelle.
For more information about this school, you can visit their profile at ourkids.net.